Alrighty, it's 7 o'clock, top of the hour. So why don't we get things started? Why don't we get introductions out of the way? Adam, why don't you go first? Since pretty much everybody here should know who you are.
Hello, everyone. I'm Adam, or EposVox. If you are tuning into Stage Discovery and have no idea who I am a tech education YouTuber that focuses on live streamers and content creators and people who want to run their own channel or live streams. If you're joining this and have no idea what the Stage Discovery feature is, this is a new thing from Discord to try to give what is effectively a convention panel kind of setup where, we're up here on the quote unquote stage talking about the subject, and then we can bring on people for Q&A if we like, things like that. And this is just a new way to kind of find Discord servers that are running, people who are talking about things, what have you. For today's stream, we're going to be talking about a service that we actually offer here in this Discord server / generally to the public through my YouTube channel and the like, which is called Backing Track, which is a royalty-free music service where you can get free downloads here on the Discord server itself, and you can otherwise stream it through your favorite streaming music provider, and it is focused on rock and heavy metal style music rather than the general kind of whatever else you typically encounter on a streaming music service. We are kind of focused on this niche that we personally enjoy quite a bit and have felt has been somewhat lacking in other service providers, and want to really kind of do our own thing here. So today we're talking about the backing track music itself, how we kind of launched this service available for free and things like that. We have with me my community manager, IceOrb, who has been kind of the brains behind this particular project. And he's probably going to be doing most of the talking for this, but I will be here to communicate as well, as of course. And we've got new people joining. Thank you so much for tuning in. This will run roughly an hour. We'll go longer if there's extra questions and the like, but don't want to take up too much of your all's time.
Yep. So hi, I'm Will. I'm at IceOrb on Twitter and at the IceOrb pretty much everywhere else. As Adam mentioned, I'm the creator of Backing Track, and I'm also one of the primary producers / composers. So someone who is not on the call right now, but is in the Discord is Dan. He goes by Order Through Chaos. He is the other half of the composing part of this project right now. But he's on vacation, so we're going behind his back.
Well, damn.
But yeah, so today we just wanted to talk about what Backing Track is, why we started it, maybe some of the early struggles that we went through, and talk about some of the production side of it. It's all gonna be fairly high level. I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty of how the writing process or what goes into each song too much, but just gonna try and give you guys a high level look at what we went through getting this thing off the ground, and then if we have time, we'll do a little Q&A, and there is going to be a track preview at the very end.
Yes. New music.
We're gonna show new music that you guys have not heard yet, and it's coming out hopefully in a few days. But anyway.
For those of you who do have questions, of course, the stage feature here allows you to request to come on stage to ask your question and the like. If you do not want to be heard for whatever reason, privacy concerns, what have you, we do have in our Discord a Backing Track text channel towards the top, and you can post your questions in there if you would prefer to stay a listener, which is totally fine either way. And we'll be getting to most of those later on, although if there's something super directly involved with what we're talking about in the moment, I may interrupt and bring them up and things like that.
Sounds good. All right, so what is Backing Track? Backing Track is a royalty-free rock and heavy metal music service. Now, rock and heavy metal, we're just using that as a blanket statement here, because not everything in there is going to fit a person's definition of what they think rock and heavy metal is, but this is primarily targeting rock and heavy metal. We have everything from gent to doom metal to alternative rock to alternative metal, but that's what we're trying to fill. That's the void we're trying to fill. There's other services out there that provide royalty-free music. We're not the first ones to do it, and we won't be the last. But I do believe that we are the first ones to exclusively offer rock and heavy metal. And that's the thing that we're passionate about. That's the thing that we wanted to make available to people. But not only that, we're also making available STEM packages for the vast majority of our releases. Everything that's out there now should have a STEM pack, with the exception of the Order Through Chaos stuff. And everything moving forward will have a STEM package. So if you're a creative type and you want to remix things, you want to make these songs a little bit more your own, or maybe you have a need for 10 or 20-minute versions of each of these songs, we're giving you those tools. We're giving you the ability to make that stuff happen. You don't have to sit there and struggle with Audacity for a few minutes trying to loop it, trying to find a perfect point to loop the song. We're just giving it away.
And something we really want to, I guess, kind of make clear here is the goal is to provide, music that you can integrate into your streams or videos that you can use as you see fit. So we do cover quite a few genres, subgenres here, and we will be expanding each particular flavor that we've had in a particular album as time goes. We have releases every month throughout the rest of the year, at least, going forward, which is going to be pretty sick. And the stems specifically are, as I said, for you to, mix or extend or build a whole new track from. If so, make sure you let us know so that we can check it out. And it is free to use in your videos and streams, and that is something that I have actually been using for basically all of 2021. We only just announced it and released publicly in May, but I've basically been the guinea pig to make sure everything is safe, putting our money where our mouth is on my own channel to show that you're not going to run into content ID claims or anything like that. And so I wanted to clarify that, especially since someone was already asking in the chat.
Yes, and for those of you that may be wondering, we are getting a sync license together. There's just some legal stuff that is slowing that down.
This is all made by us, though, so there's not,
Yeah, we're not going out there and licensing music from people. This is everybody that is involved from the production side of this is in this channel right now. So if you got a claim, that'd be really weird. But absolutely, if you do run into any issues, just hop in the chat at me. I'll make sure you get taken care of. It's not going to be a problem. But if you need a sync license to set your mind at ease, just wait till the end of the month. We should have one for you.
Yep.
Alrighty. So that covers why we started it and what it is. We recognized a hole in the market and just decided to fill that. But maybe some of the early struggle part of it should be discussed, because there was quite a bit. It's not as simple as saying, I'm going to start a music label, and then suddenly all of your music is out there and everyone can enjoy it. There's a lot of stuff to take into consideration. Number one, I'm not a guitarist. There's a lot of guitar on this stuff. Number two, how do you release it? How do you even syndicate your stuff across the board? Like, how does someone take a song that they made and get it on Spotify, get it on iTunes? That's like, looking at it from a surface level, it's like, that seems impossible. How does a normal person do that? You can play, and some of those things were interesting struggles to navigate. The first one I'll make perfectly clear. If you're wondering, yes, some musicians that are featured on Backing Track are gig musicians. They come from Fiverr, they come from local studios, they come from local listings. A lot of the holes that need to be filled in with regards to instruments that I don't play, they are gig musicians. So the way that a track typically gets started is on my iPad. I end up demoing out a little bit of a track using tools like GeoShred and MorphWiz and GarageBand to set up the basic bones of the track to figure out if it works well, what does work, what doesn't work. And then from there, I take it off to Fiverr or whatever gig place that I choose. It's mostly been Fiverr, though, and try to locate a guitarist that can fill in the blanks. I've been lucky that I have a couple of musicians that are very talented. People like Gabriel Borza, who goes by Gabriel Borza on Fiverr. If you need some really sick metal, and you know what you want, go find him on Fiverr and put a request in to work with him. He's very, very, very friendly, very professional, very fast. Yeah, you just kind of have to approach these musicians with a fully formed idea, and that's the main thing. You can't really go to them and say, "I have money, give me music." If you do that, it's going to be kind of generic. And there's actually, for the people that follow the download links, there is a folder called unused, and one of those tracks is a pretty solid example of what'll happen if you say, "Give me money, I have money, give me track." You definitely need to approach them with a solid formed idea, or what you get back is not going to be necessarily what you want. You don't need to be a virtuoso. You don't need to play every instrument to get something done, but it certainly helps to have a demo set up. And that was definitely a big part of the struggle, was having a full album, or at least 4 or 5 releases, like an EP, just fully demoed out, and then going to these people and then putting trust in them, saying, "Okay, here's what I have. Please put your stamp on it. Please put the guitars and bass together, and then let's collaborate back and forth." That's definitely not easy each time, because you don't know what you're going to get back.
For other content creators, it's kind of similar to the idea of, if you have some buddies you talk with regularly and you're like, "We should start a podcast," and then your buddy's like, "Yeah," and then you both go to do it and it doesn't really go anywhere because you never formed a plan. You just knew you wanted to do the thing, which we've all been there. I'm not knocking anyone. I've done it like 12 times in my life. That's effectively what you will get if you don't have the plan. And that's been the interesting part to kind of watch as we have developed this project, is it very much started initially, at least on my end, me being the less musically inclined one, of an idea of like, we want to do this thing, but then what? And then it evolves more into where Will is doing pretty much most of the idea forming and compositional side before we hire anyone to actually record some of the music.
Yeah. There's actually some great questions in the chat right now. We got, why is there only vocals on some of the tracks? So everything that has vocals right now comes from Order Through Chaos. So that's Dan. That was his band, and he was kind enough to bring all of his music in. We actually did a full new mix on it so that it was all instrumental as well. We included the vocal stuff in there, but for the most part, we're probably not going to do too much vocals. We find the vocals, not everybody likes it.
Right.
It could be amazing, but also somebody could not like it. So we're giving you both options there. In the future, maybe we'll have some more vocal stuff, maybe we won't, but there's a reason that it's at the bottom of the playlist. It's because I'm aware that not everyone likes vocals in their background music.
And that's very important depending on the content in general. Like, you want to be able to sort that, and I think anything we do in the future that does have vocals will be a separate side release. And honestly, what I recommend you all do is to add these songs, especially the ones that you like the best, to your own playlist and curate that with music from, whatever services that are safe for your stream. The goal is not necessarily for us to be a replacement for every track you'd ever play on your stream, but to add into it. The same thing with the stems being, you get to make it your own. And so if you don't want the vocal stuff, you get the flexibility to build your own playlist without that, and you can exclude it, and you still have the same tracks, just without them.
Yeah. Another great question here. How long does it take to write each demo? That really depends. It depends on how motivated I am for that release. I'll use Versus. Versus is the latest and actually the most popular release. If you were here earlier, you heard a little bit of it, of me playing it on the stream.
My favorite album so far.
It seems to be a lot of people's really favorite, but it's the most, I will call it video gamey. it's kind of like a hybrid electronic metal kind of composition, and that was mostly born out of like me watching a lot of Rocket League on Twitch. Like there's just something about it, like hearing there's a musician by the name of Destroyed who maybe you're not heard of him, but it's Excision, which is another guy you probably never heard of. But he tried to do like a metal EDM hybrid band called Destroyed at one point, and some of that music is featured in Rocket League. And I was like, man, I wish there was more of this. So I wrote a bunch of it. And that's kind of how that starts. It's like I'm watching something, or I'm playing something, or I'm listening to something, and I'm thinking, I wish there was more of this. And I just end up making it. A lot of the EPs, all of the volume EPs that you see, that's me just sort of throwing stuff against the wall, saying, try this, let's see what happens. And then I look at the playback data and say, oh, look, this is popular. I'll do a whole album of that. Tarnished is saying he would love a symphonic metal-esque style album. We might have something for you later on in the year. I'm more of the traditional thrash and hard rock kind of guy. You know, I love, Metallica and Megadeth, Iron Maiden. I love Foo Fighters. I love Stone Sour. Like, you're going to get a lot of that kind of stuff from me. Dan, who is not on the call, is very much into the symphonic metal, doom metal. Like, you can tell who's making what. All of Morsis was composed by him. So if you dug that album and you want more doom or symphonic metal, don't worry, he's got you. But yeah, so I guess to wrap that around, how long does it take to do a track? I try to spend no more than a week on it. I feel like if I can't get it into a place where I'm happy with how it sounds and ready to put guitars on it, then it's probably not something that I want to release anyway. So I spend about a week on each track. And again, time does matter, because I'm trying to make new releases every single month. And if I spend too much time on one single song, that takes away from the rest of the potential release. So, that you won't get stuff like what you're getting this month, which is it's almost an hour's worth of music. So if I budget my time correctly, you guys end up making out pretty good in the end. How do I write the music? So I use a couple of different tools. So as I alluded to earlier, everything starts on my iPad. I use MorphWiz, which is all of these apps except for GarageBand came from a company called Wisdom Music, and was started by the keyboardist of Dream Theater. If you ever heard of Dream Theater? Well, Jordan Root has started a company to put music into the hands, or put instruments into the hands of people that maybe aren't musically inclined. But if you are, these tools that he put out there are just incredible synthesizers that just exist on iPhone and iPad, and they're wonderful. So I use MorphWiz and GeoShred to figure out the path of the track. I can kind of do some fake guitars, and I can kind of do some fake bass in there, but I more or less just program out some melodies in that. And then I use the iPad version of GarageBand to set up the drums. And then once I'm happy with that, I'll move all of that over to Reaper and put it into a format that is suitable to send to a musician on Fiverr. And then they'll take that and put their stamp on it, send it back. And then I'll finish the mix. I'll master everything in Reaper. Depending on the scale of the project, if it's the more electronic style stuff like Versus, pretty much everything will exist in its entirety on the PC. Like, I'm not going to be playing a lot of drums or anything on there. If it's something that sounds a little more analog, like Divided, or any of the EPs really, or the new album Echoes of Annihilation, that actually features me playing drums quite a bit. I'm either using a Alesis DM10 MK2 in combination with Easy Drummer, or I'm actually recording live drums with a Thomas Starr Classic. So that's this. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it. It's not just like it's not just put money into Fiverr and get song. It's not just, open up an app and then just drag your finger across it.
I tried opening up Fruity Loops and just making magic like everyone on Twitter seems to. It didn't really work that way.
Yeah, no Fruity Loops. Although, recent versions of it look pretty good. So, but I keep my tools consistent with what most people use. And Dan uses Reaper. I use Reaper. Most of the people on Fiverr seem to use Reaper. So I'm like, all right, I'll use Reaper.
Moving beyond making the music, there was, of course, the issue of trying to figure out how to actually get it to you all, because the obvious easy thing would be to just queue up a bunch of WAV files in a folder on Google Drive, which is kind of what we have now, and then just release it. But that wouldn't necessarily make it super, that's not really distribution. That's just kind of putting it in a place and hoping you all show up to it. Whereas, actually getting it to people to listen on the services they use. And I've learned a lot just in the past month since we've released it about what music services people actually use while they're streaming, which I didn't entirely expect because I'm an old school Winamp kind of guy. And
Pretzel.
Yeah.
Apparently everyone loves Pretzel, and Pretzel's fantastic. But
right. And by request, so we did not launch with our presence on Pretzel, and we had enough demand to get ourselves up there that we were able to do so fairly quickly, which we owe to those of you who have already listened and demanded that, because that was phenomenal. But we primarily launched through effectively what's kind of like essentially what would happen with a podcast when you upload it to a podcast service. It gets pushed to your Spotify, your YouTube Music, your Apple Music, Amazon Music, all of those, and put it out there, which also means that we do get to, you can actually just listen to it as if it were normal music, which I have done with the Versus album and a couple of the albums now. Like, that's just in my normal playlist. But we also needed to get it to where both you had the option to listen to it wherever you want, but the files are available as well.
Yeah. So, more on the Pretzel thing in a second here, but yeah, we distribute through DistroKid. I think that they have the best pricing as far as distribution goes, because there's no free account. You are going to have to pick one of the 3 tiers that they have, and we went with the second tier, so we're not quite. We don't have a need for having unlimited bands. Everything's being released as backing track, so that wasn't a need for that. But being able to post after the fact to like brand new stores or make updates or make any kind of changes, that was pretty important to us. And so it ends up coming out to about $30 a year. And for that $30 a year, you can syndicate as many tracks as you want, as many releases as you want throughout the entire month. There's no limits. And as far as what kind of cut you receive, the only thing they take is any kind of licensing. So if you're releasing covers, they'll take a licensing fee, and there is a small like $2 syndication fee per album, I think, per EP. It's barely anything. Like any money you make off of your music, you're keeping it. DistroKid's very fair. I'm pretty sure that they make most of their money off of the subscriptions just to get you on the service. So it's a very fair service. If you have a bunch of music that you want to syndicate, you want to put out on different services, I can highly recommend them. But as for the Pretzel stuff, that wasn't as straightforward. So very much thank you guys for like demanding it, because there was some issues on the back end side for DistroKid that was preventing us from pushing to Pretzel, and that got sorted out largely off the back of people demanding backing track be on Pretzel. I'm like, I'm sorry guys, I couldn't get it done any faster than that. But I was able to use your demand and point at it and say, look, these people are asking for my stuff. I want it on this service. Please give me access. And that expedited it a little bit more. And then the nice folks at Pretzel helped me get everything on there. So there is a bit of a process. I'm not going to turn this into how to release music on Pretzel, but I highly recommend that you join their Discord and you reach out to their support, because they are so nice and so helpful. They will make sure that you can get your music out there. If you're making royalty-free stuff and you want to release it, they will take care of you. And I can't recommend them enough. They're absolutely fantastic.
They even showed up in my stream whenever we announced that it was on Pretzel to like party about it, which was pretty cool.
Let's see. Let's take a look. We got some questions here.
I also wanted to note while you're looking at those, the reason, part of the reason that we're sharing all of this is really, we want, as much as to describe the process of how we're doing this and things like that, we kind of want to empower you all and kind of pull the veil down a little bit on this process, because we've had a lot of requests of people who, want to or currently make music and want to get theirs own published. And realistically, if you're just wanting to share your own music, doing it yourself through this same process is probably a better way to go, just to, produce your stuff and to release it to the world. And I think this helps make it look a lot less scary than trying to phone up Apple and be like, how get on iTunes blocks. Yeah, actually it's a lot easier than you think. It's nothing's free though, I'll say that right now. You have to invest, but it's not super expensive. There is some investment involved here, and I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. It's definitely with regards to the production side of things, but it's really just about understanding your market and where you want to put your stuff. And DistroKid makes that a lot easier than you would think. They help you understand your current exposure, your growth, without turning this into too much of a DistroKid ad. Like I said, reach out to them if you have any questions. They make it pretty easy, and I can't recommend them enough. Let's see here. Are there any plans to create a bot for services like Twitch or Discord that creators can add their music or add their stream servers and streams to provide links to backing track or automatically play music? I'm not sure if I'm understanding. Maybe if I'm understanding this correctly, there is a auto service that is built into Pretzel that will automatically give credit to artists. Pretzel has it, and then like Spotify itself has an integration with Discord and things like that, but we don't, it's not like we have an app for our own thing in the first place. It's just through the other services which have separate integrations. I think Pretzel is if you don't pay for premium, it automatically puts what you're listening to into the Twitch chat. Otherwise, if you do pay for premium, you can turn that off. Backing track. Yeah, we'll call it the backing app. We'll see. So as far as that covers how to distribute. I did mention some of the financial stuff. So right up front, I'm going to tell you, I'm making nothing on this. Adam's not making anything on this either. We're making literally. Wait, I'm not. Nothing. Why am I here?
That doesn't mean that it couldn't potentially make something off of it. And when it does, we're just going to roll it right back into it. But right now, everything that's being released is being produced at a complete loss, and I'm expecting it to stay that way for at least a year or so. But that being said, looking at the syndication tools that DistroKid provides and the ones that Spotify provides and Apple Music, actually, it's pretty easy to see trends, and you can kind of figure out where you're going to be, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. But if you're thinking, oh, I can just put my music up and make a whole bunch of money, No, you can't, unfortunately. You mean you might, but you should basically approach this in a way where anything you put up there is you're going to put up at a loss.
And that's the same with YouTube or Twitch for the first year or so anyway. It's not like it's, for creators, it's not anything super different than that anyway. But there's also a lot of videos out there that go into detail about the weird stuff that happens with Spotify if you're just trying to, self-publish your own tunes and hoping to make a ton of money, because it doesn't quite work that way.
Yeah. So we have 65 songs up right now. I'm not. Let me just hear it. Yeah, we have 65 songs up right now, and to produce that amount of music, it cost about $4,000 total. And by the end of the year, I'm anticipating to have spent about $10,000. So if you're thinking, if you hear that and go, well, I'm out, there is a cost. Everything has a cost. Production has a cost. Some of this stuff I'm renting actual studio space, and nothing comes for free. So that's kind of, I would say that would probably, Cujo actually asked this question. That was probably the biggest obstacle. It's just like making it okay, making myself okay with the fact that I'm parting with this money probably permanently. And that's okay, because we're releasing a thing that is good. It's useful. People like it.
Right. We're doing this as a resource, not as a for-profit venture necessarily.
Yeah. Let's see. What's the hardest part of marketing backing track in general, especially people that have been wanting this from services like Streambeats? I mean, just getting your name out there, man. It's like anything. I've been fortunate enough to enjoy this relationship with Adam, where we can create a product and he can leverage his audience to put this stuff out there for people to find it, and that's been fantastic. But it's like anything that you make, anything that's new, it's always just getting your name out there. And hoping that people are into it. You're putting some faith in your fans or in your community or in whoever, that they're going to enjoy it, and share it with their friends. So yeah, that might be kind of a cop-out answer. I don't know if that's what you wanted, but
it's kind of as you mentioned, a serendipitous kind of thing. Like, that is, streaming and content creators are literally my niche that I already, educate and make content for in the first place. And that's kind of what inspired this. Was we saw the need from our own community / the broader streaming scene on the whole that I always have my ear to the ground for and get feedback from regularly. And so by nature of, having that vested interest in that side of things really makes a difference. And so also, if we're talking about like cost of production or marketing costs or whatever, like, I am effectively blanking out weeks where I'd normally have sponsors or ad spots or however you see it,
great point,
for promoting this service that we make, which is another way of just kind of investing in ourselves. Instead of accepting money from a company to promote them in our video, or even stuff that benefits myself like Nebula and things like that we talk about in videos, I am just replacing those ad spots with telling you all to go check out Backing Track, because I want to get the word out there. Even if it, if I wanted to make money, I would have just done the sponsor spots, but I want to make sure people know about it. And there's this thing that not everyone realizes, and myself, I struggle to really accept what that means too. But like, telling the world, or even a single person about the thing you did just once doesn't really count for much. Even if you have a direct line of contact, I have my videos, I have Twitter, my community page, I have the Discord, whatever. I can announce something and then be really confused why my diehard viewers may not know about it when I bring it up again a week later. And so it's that recurring, like, we have to keep talking about it because there's always new people coming in and not everybody watches every video. And so we are involving that where every few weeks at least I am alternating Backing Track or talking about our new merch and things like that in videos, because I think that's the easiest way. And so if you are, I would say, even if you're just an aspiring musician in general based on what I have seen. And obviously there are currently copyright / DMCA related issues on Twitch specifically right now that make that kind of nebulous. But overall, what I have seen is you want to be documenting your progress making the music in the first place to build your audience to then push your releases to. So if you're like, I want to make music, I want to get it out there, you should probably be making content documenting that progress in some regard. That way you have an existing audience to promote it to. Because if you just show up and you're like, hey world, I got music, and no one's looking at you already, you're going to struggle a little bit.
Let's see here. Are we on TikTok? Yes, we are on TikTok.
Yep.
We're on Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram. We're on all the major services. The only stuff that I'm not on is 10-cent stuff, because the distribution rights were not actually made completely clear in the back end. So I opted to not do that.
Thanks, 10-cent.
Yeah, there's a couple of 10-cent platforms that are available in the DistroKid syndication, so I just decided to not put them there. Yeah, you can absolutely add them at a later date, but until they make their distribution rights a little more transparent, I'm not going to be doing that. Luckily for you guys, I don't think any of you know what those platforms are, so it works out.
I've not heard of half of them, so.
Let's see what else we got. One small piece of advice for someone that wants to get into music production: just do it. Like,
just
I know that's a really cop out answer, but like, you really just gotta just start doing it. You just record something. Sit down. Whether you're a pen and paper, or to quote the great Dr. Dre, a pen and pad in the lab kind of guy, or if you are just someone that wants to sit down and noodle about on a synth pad or just something, just record something. If you think it sounds cool, just do it. And then try to mold it from there. That's the easiest thing that I can say as far as getting into music production. I mean, if you're a musician, obviously you're on the right path, because that's step one. Let's be a musician, be some sort of musically inclined. But as far as just making stuff, you're just gonna have to do it. You got to sit down and record it. Backing track merch win.
We have talked about that, but I think that's going to be quite a bit of ways off. I'm also super slow to launch merch since I've been on YouTube forever, and I'm only just now doing it, so
Yeah. Well, let's. I have set a goal for myself to be over 10 hours of music by the end of the year. So
yeah,
let me hit that goal, and then we'll talk about making shirts or sweaters or something.
Yeah, the music is much more important, and we have tried. Like I think we've talked about the balance a little bit, but like our goal, obviously, quantity matters, because that's been something that I've kind of harped on as we've approached launching this publicly. As I wanted a threshold of, can a streamer reasonably stream their entire stream without repeating songs a bunch before we went public? And so quantity matters, but we're also trying to make higher quality music. Like, we could take a singular song concept and just kind of rehash it and do 50 tracks and release like a massive album, but that's not necessarily good or like what everyone wants. And so instead, as Ice had mentioned, we are, whatever is seemingly the most popular or most listened to, then we can take and make more of, but it is a matter of kind of refining it too.
Yeah. In fact, if you pick through the catalog, you'll find that most of the tracks are very different, and that's just by design. And nothing comes in almost nothing. There's a couple of tracks that, when it fits, they come in under the 2-minute mark. It seems like a lot of the royalty-free services out there, they just sort of put up 52-minute tracks. Most of the stuff that I'm putting out is like 4, 5, 6 minutes plus. The new album has a 12-minute song on it, so
which is important for the flow of your stream as well.
Yeah, like that should give you an idea of like what we're going for there. So that's why there's no track limit for me by the end of the year. It's an hour. It's a time limit. I want to hit that 10-hour mark. Right now we're in a place where you could hit play, hit shuffle, and you'd be pretty good for like a 4 to 6 hour stream, I think. But I want to be at a point where it's like 10 hours. We have 10 hours of music, and that's what I have my eyes set on right now. I got a couple of questions in the chat here. Will there be any music style releases beyond metal? Great question. I'm going to say right now and for the foreseeable future, no. The reason for that is because there are already services that cover that. You know, we're covering genres that are not very well covered. You know, that's not to say that there's no royalty-free metal out there. If you go on Pretzel and you search up royalty-free metal, you're going to find some stuff. You're going to find some good stuff too. Like David Ellefson has his solo project on there. He's the bassist for Megadeth, and he's releasing his music royalty-free. That's fantastic. But as far as like dedicated heavy metal, rock and heavy metal services, that doesn't really exist beyond us. So we're focused on that for right now. There's other services out there, Epidemic Sound, Monster Cat, Stream Beats. I encourage you to continue to use those services because they're providing quality product in those genres. And, you know, I'm just not passionate enough about those genres to produce in that space. So that's my answer to that.
And you can use tracks from all of them at once too.
Yeah. That's absolutely. You know, maybe we'll do some more hybrid style stuff. Like the Versus is a great example of the hybrid style of music that I enjoy and that I'm trying to put out there. So you might see a little more hip hop / metal stuff. Anybody that's a fan of like early Limp Bizkit, that kind of thing. You know, instrumentally, maybe not vocally. But yeah, that's my answer to are we going to make anything beyond rock and metal.
While we're doing Q&A, we had someone who was patiently waiting this whole time that just removed their hand raise. Ghosts, yeah, I'm gonna bring them up, see what their question is real quick here.
I think that was his question actually. But
oh, was it?
Yeah, bring him in. Yeah. I was looking in the text chat, so I couldn't see.
Gotcha. I have sent the invite.
Yeah, my question was answered. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Perfect. There we go. Sorry about that.
Bye.
Sorry, buddy. There's
All
another
good.
question here. Let's see. Briefly, while back shortly before launch announcement, but any word on when you'll be opening up backing track to contributing musicians? Another great question. I don't know yet. So there's some legal stuff that we need to get taken care of. Number one, we got to get you the sync license. That has to be in your hands before we start even thinking about putting other musicians on here. You may notice that there's a couple of people labeled in the Discord as BT partners. Those are people that I'm currently talking to and that are interested in contributing. Aside from Dan, who is Order of Gas, I just don't have a label for him yet. we'll figure something out. But yeah, we don't know when we're going to bring partners in. That would be great if we could facilitate that relationship between a couple of different bands and maybe release their music in a royalty-free fashion for them. But as far as the legal side and the business side, all that has to make sense before we can even approach that idea. And we need to make sure that you guys are safe using that music no matter what they do long-term with their music.
Right. That's the big challenge to tackle with that, is both treating the artists contributing fairly, getting them, cuts of whatever might be earned or what have you, but also we have to negotiate proper licensing so that someone doesn't use it in their video and then you change your mind about it in 6 months or something after enough people come, and then then those people get stuck with possible content ID issues or something later on. And so there's a lot of areas to navigate with that we want to pursue, but we want to take our time and make sure we do it right, especially since we are kind of heavily invested in producing our own for now. I think it makes the most sense to really fully flesh out backing track as its own thing before we worry about other people. But we do have hopes to bring others on, especially to blend some of those other styles that, are more kind of in my niche, the branding that I have presented outside of just the metal stuff as well as others. But we gotta take our time with it and make sure that we do it right, or else it will end in big mess for everybody.
I think short term, you can probably expect to see me and Dan collaborating with other artists and releasing stuff as backing track. that's probably going to happen first, short term, before anything else. Long term, we definitely want to look into bringing other artists on and just have them be featured guests, that kind of thing.
Right. Everyone who keeps asking to speak keeps removing it as soon as I go to click them. I think you all are messing with me.
Either that or I answer the question right away.
That's possible.
We're still very much into the Q&A. Like we just kind of like merged into Q&A. Like, so if you guys want to keep asking questions or raise your hand in the chat, I've been ignoring the raise your hand thing. I've been looking at the text chat, so that's my bad.
No, I've been trying to integrate it. Just keep in mind, those of you who have requested to speak, that we do have to pace it out. I can't just throw you on while Will's in the middle of talking or something like that. Someone else also had a question about vocals, and again, it comes down to, generally speaking, for background music for videos and streams, you absolutely don't want vocals in the music, and so anything we might do for that will be essentially like separate sub albums or something that people can filter out that way. Because that's any kind of vocal release we put out is definitely going to be a separate thing. It'll be on its own. So it's not that I don't like vocals. It's not that the people that we release to don't like vocals. It's just it's distracting. Some people say that it's distracting, and I'm trying to appeal to both sides. So if you want it, some of it's there. If you don't want it, cool. That's what I'm primarily working with. IMI had a great question. Just for clarification, modifying the music is not allowed, right? Does using cut out small snippets count as modifying, i.e. for alerts or similar? Au contraire.
No. Don't be mistaken. You can use this music for whatever you want with regards to content creation, YouTube, streaming. You got a podcast, anything like that. You can use it in those respects. If you want to remix it, the only thing that you cannot do, and this might end up getting us into a little bit of into the weeds for conversation goes. The only thing that you cannot do is try to release it commercially, because I'm not giving you guys a commercial license. I'm giving you guys a royalty-free license, and there's a very, very big difference between commercial-free and royalty-free, because I still own the copyright on all this stuff.
Right.
So this is the same arrangement that all other royalty-free services provide. So it's functionally the same. When you have your hands on the sync license, you'll be able to see what you can and can't do with it, and I encourage you to take a look at that if you have questions about it, because that'll answer all of them basically.
But you can modify it. You can
end of June.
Yeah. You can modify it, you can extend it, you can loop it, you can shorten it, where, as we mentioned at the start of the event, we are releasing stems, so you can truly manipulate it into your own track. We don't discourage that by any means. Yeah,
do whatever you want with it. It's just, it has to be within the confines of the royalty-free sync license, and as long as you're sticking with that, you're all set. Much like I said, end of June, hopefully. We're just kind of waiting on some state stuff. We got I
think we have a voice question here.
Hi.
Go ahead. What's up?
What's your channel name?
So Vox is at /EposVox on YouTube, and I'm the IceOrb.
I'm a sub.
Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
All right, Hades has a question. Bringing them up.
Okay.
What's up, Hades?
Oh, crumbs.
What?
What?
There we go. That's better.
Okay. What's up, man?
So, about the renting the studio space.
Oh, I missed your question. Go ahead. Ask your question, because I saw it. I meant to answer it, but go ahead. Ask it so everyone else.
Do you have resources that you need for it that aren't there, or is there some other reason?
Well, yeah, recording space mainly. Like if I want to feature live drums, I cannot record those in my house. I'm just, it makes a lot of noise. I don't want to disturb my neighbors. So that's the main reason is I'll rent out some studio space to go and do live drums there, and it's not really for mixing purposes. It's primarily just to get the drums recorded. Although there is one track called Limit Break that's on Versus that features a real live string quartet that I paid for. So there's another reason to do studio space. So
That one went over the top. I love it so much.
sometimes the budget works out. Sometimes I look at what I'm releasing, and then by the end of the month, I got a little more extra money to play with. I'm like, let's do a string quartet. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
We got about 10 minutes left. I was thinking maybe we could preview some of the stuff we got coming down the pipeline.
So, as mentioned at the start of the event, we do have new releases for music to the services and things like that coming every month, and this one is the biggest we have had so far.
By far, it's almost an hour's worth of music. It is probably the most ambitious. It is so. It's everything from gent to progressive metal to alternative metal. There's a little bit of ambient stuff in there, a little bit of cinematic stuff. One of the primary tracks on there is 12 minutes long. It's one of the most ambitious things I've worked on for this project. And I uploaded it earlier in the week. I think I maybe chose poorly with regards to when to release a giant project, because Apple also updated their backend, which I think caused some massive delays with regards to release. So it should be out this weekend, I'm going to hope, if not early next week. But we're going to preview some of it.
It's on some of the services already, right?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it actually is. I checked before we started our thing, and I didn't see it anywhere else yet. But that's okay, because I have it on my computer. So I'm going to stream it through the stage. Hopefully it doesn't sound all warbled and crap. But yeah, if it does, just look forward to it sounding great when you get to hear it through your own service of choice. But give me a second here. I'll get this all set up.
And we will have the downloads for everything in the free downloads chat. There's a link in the content and notifications category here on the server. So we will be good to go there. Oh, Echoes of Annihilation is up on YouTube Music.
Ooh,
Sweet.
all right.
52 minutes. So some of the services will show it. Some of the others may take a little while.
Yeah. So, yeah, Echoes of Annihilation should be out on everything by either the end of the weekend or early next week. But as Adam just said, I guess it's on YouTube Music now, so you can check it out there. I'm still gonna play. So,
yeah.
There, just to give you guys a nice little cross section of what to expect. I'm gonna play something here called. Well, first I'll tell you what I had in my head when I was working on this, because I did see a bunch of questions with regards to the writing process. So I was watching a lot of Mad Max and a lot of Blade Runner, both the original and 2049. And I have let's say, obsession with cosmic horror. I love Cthulhu, and I wanted to do something that was a little more high concept. So there is a three-part song on this release called Cthulhu Lives, and one of the bonus tracks is the whole thing mixed into one 12-minute long epic. But I did a 3-part progressive metal epic that is on there. I'll play a little bit of that. But I also did sort of like an experiment where I tried to score certain scenes from different movies, the idea being like this is what the soundtrack to the apocalypse would sound like, or would sound like. You know, you just saw like a nuke go off thousands of miles away, and you're just looking at it just thinking, oh. Maybe you're actually like frustrated and upset, but whatever. So we'll start with the Cthulhu stuff. This is This track is called Great Old One. It is the third part of the 3-part epic. So let's see. We're just going to go ahead and get it done. All right, so that was part 3 of Cthulhu Lives. It's a great old one. That's intended to be the soundtrack to Cthulhu rising out of the depths and destroying everything. So such a happy track. Hopefully it didn't sound too. I was reading the text chat. Hopefully it didn't sound too crap, but sounds like the album is starting to make its way out to different services now, so you'll be able to listen to that stuff there, and I'll also be able to update the playlist. So check the playlist as well. I'll be able to update that soon. I had a question. What are you using on bass? I don't know. I don't play the bass. None of the guitars are mine. Only thing I provide is synth, drums, and some general guidance on the bass via a synth. So that's it. Aside from that, I let them fill in all the blanks. They have a fair amount of creative input on that, but it is collaborative. Goes back and forth. They'll send me demos. I'll say what works, what doesn't, and then we'll keep going back and forth with it. I think we'll do one more and then we'll call it. So something a little more chill, just to give you guys an idea of just the kind of range they're going with here. This one is called Societal Collapse. And if you're a fan of Deftones, I think you'll like this. All right, with that, I think we're gonna call it. I
Yep.
appreciate you guys coming out and hanging out with us for an hour here. So it does sound like the new music is starting to make its way out to new platforms. So make sure you check backingtrack.gg. I'm going to be updating the playlist immediately after the show, and all that stuff should be there for you guys when it's live.
And thank you for everybody who tuned in. This is our first time doing a public stage discovery thing. That's a new feature. We're still working it out. We will be having a couple more over the next couple months. Details to follow. If you are just listening in, consider joining the server. I believe there's a button associated with this stage where you can do so. Otherwise, it's discord.gg/EposVox. If you click the plus, you just have to type in EposVox and it'll join EposVox. And otherwise, yeah, thank you. And we also launched merch this week, so go check that out. EposVox.gg/merch. We got desk mats and pins and stickers. I got them in front of me now, finally. They're sick. And I guess have a great weekend.
Yeah, have a good weekend, guys. Enjoy the music. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. We'll see you guys on Twitter and wherever else. At hashtag backing track streams with whatever you guys make. Catch you guys later.
See ya. I don't actually know how to end this thing. Oh, I got it. All right.
There should be a button.
Bye.
Bye.